Hey everyone, today I'll be reviewing the Padilla Fumas Robusto cigar. I'll also briefly explore the history of Padilla as a company and where they stand today. The Padilla story begins in Cuba's tobacco-growing region of Pinar del Río in the 1940s, where the family was involved in tobacco cultivation before the Cuban Revolution. The Padilla family owned land there and grew tobacco that was sold to factories and brokers in Havana. Ernesto Padilla's father, Heberto Padilla, who deserves a separate video, was a famous Cuban poet who eventually clashed with the Castro government. In 1959, the family eventually left Cuba and Ernesto Padilla arrived in Miami as a child. After losing their Cuban tobacco connections due to the Cuban Revolution in 1959, the family started over in America, where Heberto's son, Ernesto Padilla, would eventually build the knowledge and the industry relationships needed to launch his own cigar brand. During this time, he gained experience while working with Perdomo. In 2003, Ernesto Padilla launched Padilla Cigars and partnered with Jose Garcia, who was then an emerging master blender and today is regarded as a legend in the tobacco industry. Together, they produced cigars that many enthusiasts still consider among the finest non-Cuban cigars of the modern era. Releases such as the Padilla Miami, 1932, Signature Series, and 1948 helped establish Padilla as one of the most respected boutique cigar brands in the industry. From 2008, Padilla evolved from a boutique project into a large operation, producing cigars through multiple factories and manufacturing partners, including several respected factories throughout Miami, Nicaragua, and Honduras. While Padilla is not a vertically integrated company and does not grow its own tobacco, it instead focuses on blending and sourcing tobacco from some of the industry's best growers and manufacturers in Nicaragua, Honduras, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, and other premium growing regions. It still has, more than 20 years after its launch, continued to earn respect from its Cuban heritage and legendary early releases. When reviewing boutique brands, I tend to pick the budget cigar within the range that they offer. This really gives me a feel and an idea of what the brand cares about. I purchased and smoked 5 of these cigars, as I do like to average out my experience across different smoking environments, and that includes indoors and outdoors. On inspection, aesthetically, the wrapper on the cigar is rustic rather than elegant. I wasn't looking for anything flawless in presentation for such a budget cigar. The wrapper does display veins, slight color variations, and somewhat rough texture. There are aromas that suggest a straightforward curing and fermentation, where much of the leaf's natural agricultural character remains present. For the first third, the cigar opens up with a balanced profile. The dominant flavors are cedar, clove, and cardamom. There is a prominent spice flavor that persists throughout the first third. Strength at this point is mild to medium. The body is certainly medium. Smoke production is respectable. The burn was even with good combustion. Ash is solid and white with clean burn lines. For the second third, the cedar transitions into something a little bit more darker. Now I'm finding vanilla, a carryover from the spices from the first third, that is clove and cardamom, and some leather making its way. I'm not experiencing any complexity of flavor evolution on the palate. The cigar isn't producing luxurious aged Cuban style leather. It's producing a simple, drier interpretation, but considering the price points, that's notable. The Padilla Fumas band uses a classic Cuban-inspired design with a restrained color palette of burgundy, gold, cream, and red. The cream lettering creates sort of a vintage appearance reminiscent of the Cuban cigar brands from the 1940s to the 1950s. The central oval holds the Padilla family name in script font, which gives the impression of heritage and traditional craftsmanship. Padilla makes the family name the focal point, reinforcing that this family is a brand built around Cuban heritage. The flor de tobacco suggests a subtle way of implying quality, complemented by the Hacho a mano print that tells the smoker that the cigar is handmade rather than machine-made. Padilla prints this message in both Spanish and English. Finally, the small red crest at the end of the band contains a stylized heraldic lion in alignment with the lion head also featured in their brand logo. Moving on to the final third, the cigar develops a bit more earthiness. The spices of clove, cardamom character remains. The leather becomes slightly more noticeable. One thing worth noting is that the cigar remains fairly linear, and because of the tight draw, I found the temperature to be high due to the excessive pull needed, and it also made for a slightly uncomfortable smoke. I tried a straight cut and a punch cut with equal draw resistance in both cases. In all fairness, out of the 5 cigars that I've smoked, only 3 had a tight draw. I often compare cigars like this to a young wine. I can still taste the vineyard without years of additional aging smoothing everything out. What it does provide is an honest expression of tobacco. Where it does well is good construction for the price, reliable burn and draw, good flavor and strength, and an excellent value for a daily smoker. Where it does fall short, however, is in its limited complexity and relatively linear from start to finish. Flavors don't linger particularly long on the palate, and mid-tier tobacco depth and occasional harshness at the final third. As the cigar heats up, the pepper and char can become slightly dominant. If you're looking for a budget cigar that still offers enough chemistry to keep things interesting, the Padilla Robusto is definitely worth exploring. I do look forward to trying out the more premium blends. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.